Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Pride 2017. It's a little chilly, a little overcast, but certainly not the coldest day we've ever had for Pride. The crowd's starting to trickle in, and the energy's building here on the street, so we're looking forward to a fun parade. The raid's going to hold off, I think, so we're in good shape for a chilly afternoon, but it's going to be a lot of fun. Back to you, Shay and Darren.
Thanks so much, Vanity. Yeah, Shay Gannam here. And the weather's not ideal, Darren, but it is not raining. And I think that was the biggest fear.
It's Edmonton, and it's not snowing.
Exactly.
Which is great news for all of us parade fans. And I got to say, Vanity's probably very happy because last year the sun was a little harsh, and I know that she was sweating a bit in the heat. So
yeah, that would be tough, right?
Perfect drag weather,
yeah,
frankly.
Worked out perfectly well. This is Shaw's fourth broadcast of the Edmonton Pride Parade. It's my first, but you've been here for all of them.
Oh, God, I'm the oldest queen around. Yeah, so I've been here for all of them. And actually, the Shaw broadcast of the Pride Parade is kind of unique in Canada because this was the very first Pride Parade in Canada that was actually broadcast for
which is pretty cool.
Which is awesome. Edmonton's so forward-thinking
that
way, isn't
exactly.
it? Yeah, so we're really excited. It's going to be a great parade, even though it's chilly.
Yeah, I mean, it could be worse. Like you say, it could be snowing, right?
Exactly.
So we're not going to complain that much. The theme of this year's Pride Parade is One Pride, Many Voices, which is, I think, a pretty cool theme to come up with.
It's a beautiful theme because it's so inclusive, because ultimately the community can start to get partitioned and segmented
there's
into
so many
different
segments,
groups.
right? Yeah, exactly.
Special interest groups and people that want their own concerns and their own issues kind of put forward. This is a beautiful umbrella that sort of embraces the entire rainbow of diversity, so I think it's kind of fabulous that way.
It encompasses it all, and it's a huge parade. I think we're up to about 70 floats this year.
Oh my goodness, yeah, we got them all listed here, trust me.
Yeah, we'll have them all for you, so it's going to be a fun afternoon, but Vanity Fair is out there doing the hard work. You and I are just sitting here. It's pretty easy for us.
We've got it pretty easy. We just get to watch the parade and chat. And this is great. We've never done TV together.
This is cool.
Awesome.
I mean, we've both been around for a long time, so this is great. We get to work together this afternoon. And Vanity, as we said, is out working, out talking to the people, meeting the people, and let's check in with her and see what she's up to now. Vanity.
Hi, guys. I'm here with Stephanie, representing the Pride Society of Edmonton. This year's theme is One Pride, Many Voices. Maybe you can tell us a little bit what we're going to see in the parade today.
Absolutely. So we're going to see almost 100 floats today. Everything from Camp Firefly, a longtime favorite, to lots of new faces.
And maybe we should discuss a little of the Grand Marshals for the parade this year, because it's a unique group in our community, so we should give them a little chat up, don't you think?
Absolutely. This year's Parade Grand Marshal is the Edmonton Two-Spirit community. They've been traditionally underrepresented at Prides across Canada, so we're really excited to give them a voice and a platform this year.
Looks like the weather's going to smarten up and we're going to have a good parade, so there's a lot of energy building here, and look forward to a good time. Thank you, Stephanie. Back to you guys.
Thanks so much, Vanity. Well, there's a whole rainbow of people out there starting to gather on the streets, and we have a dear friend here in the booth, the special booth. This is where all the action's actually happening. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Marnie Panis. Welcome again. You must be getting used to this. We've done several Pride Parades together now, haven't we?
We have, but this is the first time I haven't had to do anything in an official capacity. I'm here with my partner and my son, and we're just enjoying Pride as this amazing queer family that we are.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
We want to talk a bit about Bill C-16. That's been an issue. It has now passed through the House of Commons. It's waiting for royal assent. Basically what it does is it provides gender identity as part of the Criminal Code and the Human Rights Code of Canada.
That's correct. And actually it's not waiting royal assent. We're at third reading, so hopefully by this time next week it will be law and going to royal assent. So we're very, very close. And yes, it adds gender identity and gender expression as protected grounds under Canada's Human Rights Act, as well as into the Criminal Code for hate crimes.
Now the argument always is, well, we've already got human rights legislation. Why do we have to get so specific? But there is a reason.
Absolutely. You have to work really hard to prove discrimination on other grounds.
Right.
And so by enumerating it in the language, you don't have to work that hard. And trans people, we don't have the resources and even the will sometimes because of the oppression. But what's also important is that when it's explicit in the legislation and named, it changes the narrative.
Right.
And it becomes part of the fabric of the country and the conversations that we have. It starts to normalize the conversations of who we are.
Fantastic. It's a very important milestone.
Absolutely.
And we're celebrating a lot of milestones this year, aren't we? I mean, this is the 37th anniversary of Pride. It's been, 2005 is when Canada officially became a country that has supported same-sex marriage.
Right.
This is a forward-thinking motion of progress that has been happening for, in my lifetime, and in yours too, hasn't it?
Absolutely. And when you have to think, Canada is really leading the way, even in this legislation that we're talking about, is going to lead the world and tells the whole world that we value diversity, we value inclusion, that you're welcome here, and that if you don't feel welcome, the government has your back. And that's something many trans people, many people in the world don't feel from their governments.
Now, you know this better than I do. I mean, is Canada actually the first to push this kind of law forward?
There are other countries that do recognize in various ways,
right.
But this is certainly first in this area for sure.
Excellent. Lots of landmarks happening.
Absolutely. We should be proud. Lots to be proud of today.
There's a ton to be proud of, and we'll talk about that as the broadcast goes on. There are a lot of milestones, a lot of things to be celebrated today, and we'll do that as we go along. Right now, though, again, let's check in with Vanity and see what's happening as the Pride gets started this morning. Vanity.
Hi, guys. Thanks. The crowd's building, the energy's building, the barricades are going up behind me here, so I think we're going to get rolling right away. We're looking forward to a great parade, and we'll be back right after this commercial break.
It's apparently about a block away, Darren, so we don't have that long to wait.
It's exciting. I can't wait to see the floats this year.
It is very exciting. There's a look at Vanity, also eagerly awaiting the arrival of the floats.
I can't believe she stands in those heels for that long.
It's very impressive. And, she's not wearing a lot of clothing either. And it's about 11 degrees. Hey, let's talk about clothing, though. You've got this awesome jersey. Tell us about this.
I know. You probably thought I was on my way to a hockey game after this.
What's going on?
Because I'm such a hockey fan.
Sure.
Actually, this jersey is the special Canada 150 jersey sent to me by the federal government because I was named as one of the cultural ambassadors for this year's 150th celebration. Yeah,
very
exciting. Absolutely. And I was just talking to someone from the queer media in Calgary, and he was telling me about all the Alberta Pride celebrations that are happening this year. We tend to think of Pride as being, Edmonton, Calgary, and then it's done, right?
Yeah.
But I just found out there's a Red Deer Pride that's been going on for a few years, which I should have known. I'm embarrassed to not know that. Okay. But also Lethbridge Pride. There's a Tabor Pride now.
Oh, wow.
There's a Jasper Anabanff Pride. Jasper Pride's been going on for quite a few years now. There's a Grand Prairie Pride. Okay. And there's even a Pride celebration that happened last year in Morley.
That's awesome.
Which is the very first Indigenous community Pride celebration in Canada. And it was sold out, apparently. You couldn't get a place to stay.
Is that right,
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Pretty exciting. So we should do a little road trip next year.
We're talking about first. Yeah, why not? I'm in. Let's go. Let's do it. But we're talking about a lot of the milestones, and we continue to see how Pride has, grown and grown and grown and grown. But you've got some of the milestones as we've gone along through the history here in Edmonton, particularly. We really have come a long way.
It's true, and actually, it's strange. I've become a piece of that history.
You absolutely have.
This year, 2017, is the 30th anniversary of Guys in Disguise. So it was 30 years ago. We were prepping for our very first Fringe show, and the very first time a drag troupe in Western Canada sort of entered a main stage, mainstream theater festival.
And you're still going strong at the Fringe. You've got 2 shows this year.
2 shows this year. We're doing one called Puck Bunnies, about girls that sleep with hockey players.
I lived in Swift Current for 2 years. I know all about Puck Bunnies.
And we're also doing, we're bringing in a drag icon from Key West, who's formerly from Canada, my friend Christopher Peterson, who's worked with Guys in Disguise many times. He'll be doing his brand new show called The Broads of Broadway.
Okay.
So it's a whole bunch of it's a whole bunch of movie divas doing Broadway songs that you never thought you'd ever see them perform. So that's really exciting.
That sounds
too.
fun.
Yeah, totally.
So much going on. Let's talk about some of the milestones as we moved along.
Well, I wrote some of them down just because, okay, so of course 1969 was the official decriminalization of homosexuality in Canada.
Not that long ago at all.
Not that, within my lifetime,
exactly.
Which is terrifying. Which just shows everybody how ancient I am. But 48 years, so in 2 years it'll be the 50th anniversary of that. And all of it, I think at the time, people might have wondered why it happened or why it had to happen. I mean, obviously not the people in our community. We knew it had to happen. But ultimately, all of the gains that have happened since then have come because of that decision. Just like in 1975, it was the American Psychiatric Association that delisted homosexuality as a mental illness. And that changed everything in terms of how it was perceived by the public. And so in terms of how we're represented by the media and how we move through the world, these things are pivotal and huge accomplishments and huge stepping stones and that kind of thing.
We still have a long way to go, absolutely. I don't think we're done.
Well, and you're absolutely right. There's still a lot more to go. We're talking about the transgender rights now. But also, I think it's important to note that these rights are so new that they're still fragile. And I think there's this tendency to go, oh, we'll have a parade and everything's good. And, we're very lucky in Canada. We're privileged to live in a country where our diversity is supported. But if you go outside of Canada, outside of North America, queer people all over the world, sexual minorities all over the world are still facing huge hardships.
Well, we hear what's going on in Chechnya right now.
Chechnya, the concentration camps in Chechnya, that kind of stuff is terrifying. And I think every queer person should know about that kind of stuff and be concerned about that, and know that even though we might be done fighting for our rights here, we have to be vigilant to make sure these rights stay in place.
Is there also some benefit to having these kind of rights and celebrating them, and people taking part in the whole community coming together, sort of setting an example to other places around the world that, there are safe places and this can happen, and we can have societies that are inclusive?
Oh, absolutely. I think Canada is sort of a shining example on the global scene in terms of the sky did not fall when gay marriage happened. Right?
Things got better. Right?
Things got better. And, I lived in a province where I paid taxes to the government that then used my taxes to keep me from participating fully in Alberta's cultural diaspora. So, it's... Oh, and I can hear the cheering. I can hear the cheering.
First up is Lexus of Edmonton, I believe, right?
That's right.
And there's Alexis.
Just one.
But they're leading off the parade for us, so thanks very much for that.
That's a primo spot.
And then number 2, we have the Edmonton Pride Festival Society. Of course, they're going to be at the front of the parade, and you can see Mayor Don Iveson is there with them.
Oh, you've got better eyes than I do.
Yeah, he's right behind the second banner.
I see, okay.
And you know who's marching with the mayor today?
Who?
We have a young man who put pride decorations up at his school, Blessed Oscar Romero, and it turned into a whole thing. And he put a chalk rainbow on the sidewalk out in front of the school. And the custodian said, well, now you're tracking chalk all through the school. So the principal said, we got to get rid of this. So they made him take it off. And then it turned into a whole thing about, are you being discriminatory? And I don't think that was the point that the principal was getting at, because in fact they did put up pride decorations around the school. It was just, we can't have chalk in the school. But he also joined the premier at the raising of the pride flag.
That's amazing.
At the legislature. You can see him walking right next to Premier Don Iveson right there.
Excellent. So we have the Grand Marshal float. Our parade marshal this year is, first we had the Edmonton Pride Festival Society, and of course they're a non-profit organization that manages the entire organization and execution of the Pride celebrations, and it's one of the largest festivals in the capital region each year. So there you go, bringing a lot of fun and color and diversity to the Whyte Avenue area. Also, our parade marshals this year are Alberta's two-spirited community. Now, Edmonton Pride Festival is entering its 37th year of celebrating Pride on Treaty 6 territory, a traditional gathering place for many Indigenous peoples, including Cree, Saulteaux, Blackfoot, Métis, and Nakota Sioux. Indigenous people believe that both the female and male spirits reside in the body of a two-spirited individual, and the degree of dominance of each spirit impacts the physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual identity of each two-spirit person. Oh, there we have Don Iveson. He's always a crowd favorite, isn't he?
And I wish I remembered the young guy's name from Blessed Oscar Romero School, but he's there with the mayor carrying the banner, so good for him.
Oh, he must be proud today,
He
eh?
absolutely
That's
must
beautiful.
Be,
That's beautiful.
And
here we have the two spirits of Edmonton. Excellent.
Who are the Grand Marshals?
Now I'm looking for my friend Massey White Knife. Where is Massey?
That's up to you.
Well, Massey was on our show over at Global a couple of weeks
That's right,
ago.
you got to interview.
Okay, are we
What
good
a
to go?
story. What a story. It's amazing. Are we waiting for Vanity? Is Vanity
All right, you guys, I'm here with Don Iveson, Mayor of Edmonton, of course. He's a busy guy. How are you? Good, good. You brought a special guest with you today. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about that.
Francis is the trans student who decorated Oscar Romero High School for Pride Week and then had a little trouble with that. But, I'm just privileged to be able to soak up all this positivity from our community for all LGBTQ2S young people and people of all ages in our city. And Francis is a great leader and a symbol of that positivity.
It's a great experience for him. I'm sure it's great to have you here. Thank you. Back to you guys.
Don Iveson, of course, we were watching the Edmonton Pride Festival parade marches, Alberta Two-Spirited Community. There they are, the traditional drumming circle. Now I'm looking for my friend Isis Rain and seeing where she is, because as you know, you interviewed Massey, but Massey makes a big distinction between him and Isis Rain.
Yes, Isis lives in Vancouver, Massey lives in Fort McMurray. But a fascinating story, and hopefully we'll get to talk about that. This is the Canadian Native Friendship Center
awesome.
That we're seeing here, and they have been providing support groups twice a month. In fact, they're heavily involved in the community, and they say that they respect and recognize the inherent worth of all peoples, regardless of race, creed, or culture, and they like to promote this view in the community. And, of course, honoring elders and a lot of the Native community mixing with the Pride community. So we see their float and their entrance to Canadian Native Friendship Centre today.
Beautiful. You can hear the drums pounding as they get closer and closer.
Yeah, they're just behind us now. And following them up is the city of Edmonton, I'm told. Is that what that is?
There's a lot of them.
And the city of Edmonton, no, this is TD we're looking at now, I think. TD Canada Trust. And they have an employee culture which has a commitment to diversity and inclusion, and they're working hard at building an environment at TD in which every employee and customer feels valued, respected, and supported. And they have a lot of education, HR programs, and community involvement to try
And they
and promote
actually
that.
they support and participate in 42 Pride festivals across Canada. And of course, not to be outdone, there's Mr. Scott McKean, City Councillor Scott McKean.
Can we safely say he is the sharpest dressing member of City Council?
He's pretty sharp dressed, isn't he?
He does all right.
He works hard on that mustache.
The mustache is wonderful.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah,
Sorry.
he puts it together very, very well. I hear Vanity once again. Maybe Vanity's got a
Sorry, I
guest.
can't hear anything. One sec.
No, Vanity can't hear.
You can't hear anything. We can hear her though, which is
Yeah,
good.
we
Okay, sounds good.
I'm seeing through the monitor here. We have Alberta's
Okay, I just
NDP
turned myself up,
caucus.
so I'm better now.
Alberta's NDP caucus, of course.
Yeah,
That's our provincial government now, and there's actually a few
Camera guy.
members of the Alberta NDP caucus that are LGBTQ, which is fascinating, and the first openly gay members of our legislative assembly.
And I'm sure the premier is down there somewhere. She did say that she was going
I'm
to be
looking
here.
for my
Premier
Rachel.
Notley,
Where is my Rachel?
I'm
Oh, you know what?
sure
I think she has her own float coming up, doesn't she?
She's got her own float.
Well, she is the boss.
She is the premier, I guess. Come with some perks, right?
If I was the premier, I would want my own float.
Absolutely, yeah.
Just like when I was the queen, I always wanted my own car.
Yeah, with the title comes some privileges. Oh,
Look at all that orange, sea of orange.
the orange crush.
The orange wave.
All right, we're
that's
good to go here, boys.
Okay, Vanity, what have you got?
We have the lovely Premier of Alberta, Miss Rachel Notley. How are you today? Now we're no stranger to Pride. Does Pride ever get routine and old for you, or does it kind of just charge you up for the work to be done?
You know what? Pride is always the most fun parade of the year. Yeah, I won't say which Pride, but I will say that this Pride is really, really, really awesome, and it's just such a good time to be here.
Awesome. It's great to have you. Are you excited for the year to come? Lots going on.
I'm excited for the year to come, and every year Alberta just gets warmer, friendlier, more inclusive, more modern, more progressive, and this is a great example of that. And I just think I'm just in a great mood.
If only the weather would warm up a bit, hey? You're lucky you're walking. I'll let you catch up. Have a great day. Thank you. Back to you guys.
Our fearless leader, Rachel Notley, being very diplomatic about not saying which city's Pride is her favorite.
Yeah, that's got to be tough for her, right? Being a born and raised Edmonton. But look, she did manage to stop the parade.
Well, there you go.
That's very impressive.
Another perk from being the boss lady,
Exactly,
right?
yes.
Excellent. And she's looking pretty sharp today, too, actually.
Yeah, very colorful hair. And following up the NDP caucus, I believe we're supposed to be having...
Would this be the Old Strathcona
the Old
Business
Strathcona
Association?
Business
There we go. And of
Our
course,
hosts.
Our hosts, exactly. They are, in fact, the hosts of the entire sort of parade this year, because this is Old Strathcona that we are in now. They've always supported projects and campaigns that maximize Old Strathcona's aesthetic appeal by working with everyone concerned to ensure the well-being of the members and customers and clients. We do love Old Strathcona. Being a part of the Fringe every year.
Well, of course, yeah.
Old Strathcona is so important to my development as an artist. So.
It's home to so many wonderful events in our city. So,
and I'm totally coveting those floral umbrellas right there.
Pretty spectacular. And following up from that, that's still the Old Strathcona Business Association?
Oh, and it looks like Play Out on the Fringes in Old Strathcona. Of course, the Fringe is coming up in August. It's
Back half
North
August,
America's biggest theater festival and the second biggest Fringe festival in the world.
Yeah, only to Edinburgh, right?
Yeah, Edinburgh is the only one that's bigger. Exactly.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Lots
Canada
of color.
Housing Co-op.
Look at all the color today. Well, it was actually, we were worried because it was chilly.
Yeah, but
and
you know
the
what?
streets were kind of empty a little while ago, and now look at them now.
Maybe people just didn't come out early. They tried to limit their exposure. But yeah, there's a good crowd. There's a lot of people out. It's good to see David's Tea marching in the parade this year.
And you said come out early, and I think everyone should come out as early as possible, personally. It is 2017 after all. None of us are getting any younger, right?
And you can see the crowd.
Oh, a tangle of bees.
Oh, no, something's gone wrong. Take them all. Just take them all.
That's Milo. I actually did there was a gender diversity cabaret show done by the Ross Shepherd High School. That was Milo, one of the students.
Oh, okay.
One of the trans students, non-gender conforming students that was in the cabaret, actually.
Excellent.
I got to work with that person. That's awesome.
This is Linda Duncan and her...
Oh, more orange, so we must be in
a whole group. There she is.
there we go.
There's Linda.
Now, of course, Linda Duncan was the first NDP MP to be elected in Edmonton.
And is still there.
And is still there. We got a lot. I remember watching the election that night because remember Raheem Jaffer came out and declared victory, and then Linda went, "Wait a minute, we haven't finished counting yet."
And Linda has been heavily involved in our community here in Edmonton for so long, as you said, the first NDP MP. And she's still there, and her office is part of the caucus that looking for equity employers, encouraging a diverse staff, and their role in the opposition to the current federal government. The NDP's job is to identify and discuss ways that the government needs to create laws and promote
now we have
participation.
the Imperial Sovereign Court of the Wild Rose. These are my sisters, my girls.
This is the crew,
is my
right?
queens, my queen. Now, of course, this is the current Empress is Empress 41 Ruby Hyman. That means we've been in the court has been in business for 41 years. It's also the 30th anniversary of the Mr. and Ms. Gay Cup titles. And Vanity, of course, is a former Empress. Let's talk to her. She'll have some really good insight.
Exactly.
Oh, wait, but not yet, because apparently she's still running into place.
Tell us about your history with this group. You were involved too, right?
I was actually, my drag mother, Lula LaRude, was Empress 9, and I was Imperial Crown Princess 9 for the Imperial Sovereign Court of the Wild Rose. It was the beginning of my drag career.
All right.
Vanity's got some interviews for us.
All right, guys, I'm here with our current reigning Miss Gay Edmonton. Can you do it? How are you today?
I'm fabulous.
Now, the court's celebrating a little milestone this year, which you're a big part of. Can you tell us a bit about it?
Yeah, this year we're celebrating our 30th anniversary of the Mr. Ms. Gay Edmonton titles. So we'll be holding our annual pageant July 30th at the Edmonton Inn and Conference Center, and it should be a fun time. And a bunch of past reigning people will be there, and
I'll be there. It'll be a good time, right? You've done an amazing job this year. Thank you for your work for the community. I'll let you catch up to the court float there. Back to you guys.
What would a float be? What would a parade be without a bunch of drag queens on a float?
Nothing.
You're right. We're stunned speechless by it.
Exactly.
Here we have Kiss 91.7, who strongly believes that every human being is important and equal, no matter the skin color, gender, religion, or sexuality. They embrace the diversity of all, and they have a very inclusive workplace.
You also have a very cool float with a big video screen on there.
Oh, cool.
Look at that,
Holy. High tech hits the fringe.
Very
Awesome.
well done.
Awesome.
And following up after Kiss FM, we have BMO, the Bank of Montreal.
The Bank of Montreal. And they do a minimum of 4 LGBTQ events yearly. Each of these events is used to connect and invite staff and clients alike.
When did this start with the big corporations getting involved in Pride?
Well, I don't know. It's interesting because ultimately Pride started as kind of a protest against the exclusion. And ultimately, I think the more inclusive it got, the more they realized that the queer voting bloc, the queer consumer power is actually large enough that corporations have to pay attention to that and be involved and show that they're inclusive of the cause. And next we have, oh my goodness, it's so cold I can barely turn the pages on my script here.
And you got to turn a bunch here too. We have the Edmonton Catholic Local 54 of the Alberta Teachers Association.
Oh, there we go. Now, of course, and we see in giant letters GSA, because the Gay Straight Alliance, of course, is very important to all schools now and to the emotional and spiritual health of all LGBTQ youngsters.
Absolutely,
that are going through the school system. I remember that from my experiences in the 70s.
Yes.
Way back decades ago.
When none of these things existed.
When none of these things existed, and you had to keep the stuff to yourself and sort of suffer in silence, and that's not the case anymore. So it's hard to overstate how important that kind of support is for people that age and how it affects the rest of their life choices.
Just having some support and some community to sort of relate to.
Oh my God, it's so totally.
The Sturgeon Public School Division joining us now. I don't know. It's in here somewhere.
There we go.
You got it?
Number 18, yep. This year, they have a Diversity, Equity, Human Rights Committee distributed books which focused on sex and gender minority topics. They've started more GSAs within their division, and they partake in a Peace Poll project division-wide and start a Safe Contact cohort which focuses on educating the teachers on the topics of sex and gender minorities. Here's an organization that I go back with a long time, Edmonton Vocal Minority. This is our LGBTQ sexual minority choir here in Edmonton, and I will actually be hosting their concert, their Pride concert at the end of the Pride Days this year.
Excellent.
So everybody
okay.
come out and see it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, you make a good point. We talk a lot about the parade, and of course that is our focus today. But this is a 10-day festival. There's things going on all around town.
Yes, there's more events that you could probably shake a stick at.
Yeah, there's a lot happening, and Old Strathcona. Throughout the weekend, there's a lot of events taking place down here as well.
Absolutely. Edmonton Vocal Minority also takes part in the every 4 years there's something called a Unison Festival, and it was held across Canada, and it's all the LGBTQ choirs across Canada meet in one city and do like 3 days of singing and concerts and stuff, and it's quite an amazing thing. I've done 2 of them. There's another one coming up next year in Calgary. I'm quite excited for it. And just in case you think that you want to sing, if you're one of those secret shower singers that wants to sing with the choir, Edmonton Vocal Minority is completely supportive. There's no
auditioning and there's no cutting.
There are auditions, but it's you don't have to be gay or lesbian or trans to be in the choir.
Anybody can go.
It's a beautiful mix of diversity in that choir.
This group is really cool. Adara Hair and Body Studio. They're a certified safe place through Pride Center. They have, this is interesting, gender-neutral pricing, which, as a guy, I've sort of benefited from the fact that a lot of places don't have it, because I go pay $20 for a haircut.
And women have to pay a lot more.
Way more than that, even if they're getting the exact same haircut. So Adara Hair and Body Studio actually offers up gender-neutral pricing. It's based on the length of your hair, not your gender.
Now, as someone who used to have long hair, I know how much product they used to use on my hair, so that makes perfect sense. We've also had the E4C Women's Emergency Accommodation Shelter, of course, providing a very important service for women that are in any kind of distress. And we also have the Fruit Loop and the Donut Party. Oh my God, there's all these things happening.
Yeah, Fruit Loop we should mention, because this provides, meetups, gatherings for people who maybe aren't into the gay bars.
Exactly. Let's say you don't want to go to the bar because it's just too loud.
Sure.
Or I just feel too old. That's my thing.
Exactly.
So there's other ways of gathering together,
exactly,
and it ultimately sort of shows that our community is much more than just what people think in terms of, hanging out in bars and stuff like that.
And that's Fruit Loop. And the Donut Party, as you mentioned, they're an inclusive workplace, does not discriminate on the basis of race, gender, or sexual orientation, and they try and stay informed by staying connected to the community through social media and events. The Donut Party.
They're very supportive of the other queer organizations in town, too. They've donated and supported Period Party, Fruit Loop, Making Waves, which is the gay swim team, and the Rainbow Connection in the past, which is awesome.
Service Credit Union. Service is an inclusive, equal opportunity employer as well. Their values: community fairness, integrity, investing in our people, a life-work balance. So they're out here showing their support for the community today.
This is amazing. It was so quiet a minute ago.
I know, and now
we were sitting here wondering.
Are we the only ones here? But no, this is fantastic. There's a good crowd here today. People having a lot of fun.
The cool weather has not dimmed the spirits and energy at all.
Which is great to see.
This looks like it would be the LGBT Pride Center of Edmonton.
You are correct.
There we are. Excellent. Excellent, of course, providing a very important service. If you are new in town and you want to find out more about the community, they're the ones that are going to be the resources to get you there. They also do a lot of important work with sexual minority refugees that have come into Edmonton and are looking for how they fit into the greater community. So that's a very important sort of bridging step. Here we have the Edmonton Police Service, and Vanity Fair actually did a very important interview with Brad Doucette a little earlier with the Edmonton Police Service. So let's go and see that right now.
All right, guys, I'm here with Superintendent Brad Doucette from the Edmonton Police Service, and I'm very happy to see the police represented here at Pride this year. Obviously, there's been some controversy in other cities between police relations and Pride, so I'm just curious, what steps and process did you guys go through to edit your presence here today?
Well, last year, after the issues arose nationally where there was concern about police presence in the parades, we met early on, probably late last year, with the Pride Festival to see what those concerns were and to hear from the community as to what their thoughts were about our involvement. We had a lot of back and forth, and the Pride Festival Society actually did a couple town halls to hear the concerns. And as a result, we've tweaked our presence here a little bit. We're really focusing on the people of the police as opposed to all the toys and the bells and whistles that we often see in a parade. We have a different relationship here in Edmonton than across the country. We pride ourselves on our work with the various communities around the city. I sit on the Sexual and Gender Minority Liaison Committee, where concerns from the community can be brought forward directly to the police and addressed without any of the red tape that often happens with when you'd call a big agency like ours.
So probably a little bit of a quieter presence, no sirens and all that fun stuff. But it is very great to have you guys here in our parade today, and I hope you have a good time. And if the crowd gets rowdy, it's always good to have the police on location, right? Thanks, Brad. Back to you, Darren and Shay.
There we go.
Thanks very much, Vanity.
I'm very proud to see the Edmonton Police Service as part of our parade. I know there's been a lot of controversies across the country.
There has been.
Oh, but I have to say, I appreciate the support and the solidarity of seeing them as part of this gathering.
And like the superintendent said, they had to have some considerations and they had to have some discussions about how they would fit into this. But yeah, just the fact that they're here means a lot.
They found a smart compromise, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I haven't seen as many headdresses since I stepped down as Imperial Crown Princess. And there was a lot of headdresses there.
Was that the thing back then? That was.
Oh God, there was. I used to this one guy from Calgary. His headdress, it got him in many international media. It was the giant Olympic rings.
Oh, nice.
He would just wear it in. I also used to know another. He wasn't a drag performer, but he called himself Cardinal Sin, and he would create giant, epic Vatican-style headdresses, all made of beads and bedazzled and whatnot.
And you know what? We should mention a lot of the people who came down to the parade today did so in costume.
Yeah.
People are right into it.
I was worried that the weather would make people sort of dress down, but it's been awesome.
No, they're here and they're having a good time. The Alberta Sex Positive Education and Community Centre, another place that has a safe place policy. They make sure that all their employees and presenters and volunteers and attendees are aware of what's going on and provide a safe place for people.
Well, and the other thing that's really interesting is our thought processes in terms of embracing diversity doesn't just stop because we think we figured it out 20 years ago.
Sure.
The envelope has started to expand, and our knowledge of the issues that affect queer people expands over the years. And so one thing about the Alberta Sex Positive Education and Community Centre is they stay on top of all these issues. So if you're
and it changes, as a guy in the media, I'm telling you, Darren, it changes on a weekly basis. Almost.
It totally does. You got to be careful what you say.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to stay on top of it. The Society of Edmonton Atheists, their bylaws make it clear. They have written bylaws that no discrimination is allowed, and they sponsor a yearly conference where LGBTQ issues are often on the agenda and a topic of discussion, and many of their members also very active in helping grant GSA rights to schools, so they're heavily involved, the Society of Edmonton Atheists.
They strive to provide a safe space for atheists, agnostics, freethinkers, and skeptics. I'm a skeptic, but I don't know of what.
Well, it's good to be skeptical of everything.
I'm skeptical
a little bit
of
skeptical
of
everything, yeah.
Keeps me sharp.
Following them up, I believe we have Winners /Home Sense, and they're involved this year. If you want one of the pride flags that you see that they're
Which,
waving,
of course, you do.
Of course. There's 2 locations of Winners where you can get them. City Centre and the one in the new brewery development. They'll be giving out free pride flags.
They give them out free?
That's what it says.
See, I should know this kind of stuff. How do you know this and I don't know this?
I read over the Pride Festival guide.
Oh.
That was my research.
That was good. You're good. You did some prep. I love that.
So you can head down and pick up a flag there. Their association joins the festivities not only by marching, but as we said, getting involved in handing out pride flags and that sort of thing. And in 2016, they sponsored 7 pride festivals in major Canadian cities, with over 460 of their staff marching in those events.
Now we have the Alberta Federation of Labour. They are committed to LGBTQ rights, both in their external advocacy and in their internal policies and procedure. They have strong anti-discrimination policies, particularly around the issues of gender and orientation. This is important when the message stops being about just the community and starts filtering into organizations that represent the entire community.
Right.
Because ultimately, gay rights are everyone's rights. Right?
Of course.
Homophobia
just
affects
human rights, right?
Yeah,
I mean, that's what we're talking
homophobia
about.
affects straight people as much as it affects gay people. And I think it took a lot of generations for everyone to realize how basic these rights have to be.
Yeah, I mean, if we're not all involved, then you can start excluding on one basis or another. It's just a slippery slope. You don't want to go down that road. Faleski Flynn, LLP. This is a boutique law firm. We were trying to figure out what a boutique tax
is that like
law
a boutique hotel?
I don't know. Do they sell clothes at the same time? I have no idea how it works.
Or is it like when Harper was doing all those boutique tax cuts, where only people that had kids that were in hockey got the tax cuts?
I'm not sure what it is.
That was a boutique tax
but
thing.
it's a cool name, though. I'd like to work for a boutique tax law firm. They've been part of the Edmonton Pride Parade in the past, and they want to continue to be part of it in the future because they believe that individual dignity, equality, and human rights are worthwhile causes that align with the vision of their firm.
My goodness, I seriously can't believe how many people there are here suddenly. It's just mind-blowing.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And like you said, a lot of kids, everybody having a great time.
Okay, this is the Velvet Cupcakes and the Stud Muffins, which I think should be the name of our next punk band when we finally start it up.
I'm in.
Don't you think? Not only are they all about cupcakes and muffins, but they also have a burlesque element to their act, as you can tell.
Yes, you can see that.
They do more than 5 original sold-out shows, and they continue being involved with the LGBTQ community, including performing regularly with the drag community at their weekly Sunday shows at Evolution Wonder Lounge.
And headlining the Pride Awards Gala, too. So,
interesting.
Yeah, there you go. Next up, Homeward Trust Edmonton, another inclusive workplace, but they also offer education for their staff and sector leaders. But, you know, they're very involved in our community, and they're very involved in the community in many, many areas.
It says ending homelessness in our community. That's a really worthy and noble goal.
That's a big issue facing our city, and one that I know the mayor's been working on.
Well, and it's also one that affects gay youth that have been kicked out of their house or run away from home because of the issues at home. If they don't find the acceptance they need, there's actually an inordinate amount of LGBTQ youth on the streets.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
And they're in serious peril. Wow. We're getting a long, good look at the stud muffins and the velvet cupcakes.
There we are, the Liberal Party of Canada here today. That's Amarjeet Sohi, I think, with the red hat. I'm not 100% certain.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
no,
that's
I think you're right.
Yep. That's
Excellent.
Minister Sohi, the Minister of Infrastructure.
Randy Boissonneau should be in there somewhere, too. I saw them both yesterday at the official kickoff of the Edmonton part of the Canada 150 celebrations.
Okay. Prime Minister not here this year.
Well, and interestingly enough, I'm still, I've had a lot of firsts in my drag career.
Yeah.
Vanity Fair will always be the first drag queen that got to interview. And here she's going to interview Randy Boissonneau.
She gets all the good gets,
Okay, Vanity, take it away.
All right, guys, I'm here with local fabulous Liberal, Randy Boissonneau. How are you? Now, you've been given a very special designation by my good friend Justin Trudeau. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. Prime Minister appointed me as a special advisor to him on LGBTQ2 issues, and it's a great honor to represent the community in that way. We've had some great gains, as you know, in our lifetimes, but we still have a lot more work to do. We got to get trans protection laws passed in the Senate. We got to make sure that we don't have any LGBTQ2 youth on the streets, and our seniors are being recloseted when they try to go into extended or long-term care facilities. So there's work to do here, and there's work to do internationally. And with friends and allies like you, we're going to get it done.
Eventually. We'll get there, right?
But you know, it's really important because the idea to have a special advisor was the Prime Minister's idea. The government's never had a special advisor on anything, and we've never had anybody in the government of Canada focus on LGBTQ2 issues. So we're going to make the right changes for the community.
Is there maybe an apology coming?
There's definitely an apology coming, and it will be done before the end of 2017. And for the viewers who wonder what that is, that's to apologize for discriminatory policies from the 60s through to the 90s, where people in the federal public service were fired and systematically persecuted for being gay, lesbian, trans, or different. So we've got an apology to do. We're working on it this summer. It'll happen before the end of the year.
Great news. All right, I'm going to let you get back to your fans here. Have a great time. Thanks, Randy. Back to you guys.
Thanks so much, Ben. I got a couple of observations here. First of all, we almost missed the Alberta Liberal Party, which was scooping me at the same time as the federal Liberal Party. I noticed that Vanity not only scooped me on being the first one to interview Justin Trudeau, which she did without permission because it's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission. So we didn't book it ahead. She just ambushed him. But now she's calling him my good friend Justin Trudeau.
Yeah, she really jumped right in, didn't she? Yeah.
But that Randy Boissonneau was talking about the apology, which is so important in terms of the reconciliation and in terms of the darker histories of the queer community in Canada.
And I don't know if you noticed, standing next to Randy Boissonneau from the Alberta Liberal Party, their brand new leader, David Cobb.
That's right. I thought I recognized him.
Yeah, he was there with Randy Boissonneau. He just took over the leadership last weekend, as a matter of fact, from Dr. David Swan. So the leader of the Alberta Liberal Party is here today as well.
Now, that black and blue flag is, of course, the Alberta Men of Leather. They continue to strive for inclusivity and for all in each of the big events by giving everyone an event to explore their identity and their community. And I think someone was just dressed as a leather pup, or is it a cub? I'm not really up on it. I'm getting too old to remember all the new terminology now.
I've never been up on it. I really should be though, shouldn't I? That should have been some of my research in coming out to do this today.
I think we're probably both daddies. I don't know. I've turned into a bear, apparently.
Oh, really?
Yeah, apparently. Oh, we missed the Edmonton Team Edmonton Sports, but we have the Radisson Hotel Edmonton South.
And once again, they're very involved with the Edmonton Pride Festival, supporting diversity through their many volunteer-hosted sports and recreation activities. They also have a No, I'm jumping ahead now. I'm on to the Edmonton Sports Association, which we've skipped. Now we're on to the
Oh
Radisson.
my goodness, it's hard to
They're
keep
going
up.
quickly.
The
They're going
parade
quickly.
is happening so fast. Just so you know, the Team Edmonton Sports Association is really all about welcoming. You know, sports has been a hard place for queer people, especially gay men, to enter into because of some of the homophobia within some of the sports organizations. So to be able to compete with people that think like you and to not have that held against you is very important. So
And the You Can Play initiative, and I think they're involved in the parade
They
as
are,
well. So we'll talk a
absolutely.
bit more about that a little later. RBC, the Royal Bank.
Now, Royal Bank of Canada has several Pride employee resource groups in Canada and internationally. These groups help create a positive work environment inclusive of LGBT and allied employees to drive engagement, retention, attraction, and recruitment of talent. This is the thing, too. If you're not attracting the talent of people that are in part of the diversity community, you're actually missing a huge amount of talent when it comes to what they can bring to the experience and how they can affect the way your business interacts with the community at large.
Exactly. When you talk about attracting talent, BioWare, which is coming up behind RBC, a local video game developer that is an absolute world leader.
Huge.
They're amazing.
I don't think if people aren't into games, they might not have heard of BioWare. Every one of my actor friends has done voiceover work for them. Like, it's stunning.
They are a global leader in video games. There's no doubt about it. And
wait. RBC has a huge flag.
They really do.
We're going to have to wait till they go by before we get to BioWare.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about that attracting talent. That's always been an issue for Edmonton. I mean, it's changing. We used to have a lot of people leave this city for opportunity. And
that's right.
Now we're getting people coming back.
It's true.
A lot of people are staying. And BioWare is a big part of that. They've actually been involved with the university and with Nate and things like that in sort of tailoring courses so they can get the people that they need and provide them opportunities. Because like we said, they're as good as it gets in terms of the video game industry.
It's so true. They've kind of set the standard.
They really have.
Internationally.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they've actually turned a couple of local people in the theater scene here into international superstars, including Mark Meir, who does a ton of voiceover work for them. Yeah. Apparently he goes to Comic-Cons all around the world and is mobbed by fans.
And you can make a whole living doing that.
Totally.
Just going to Comic-Cons.
Why didn't I think of that?
Yeah, I know.
Why didn't I start wearing dresses for a living? I could have been wearing, like, some Star Wars outfits or something. Yeah, exactly.
And there's BioWare, and coming up behind BioWare.
Oh yes, the Evil Roller Derby.
Oh yeah.
Now, I don't know. Did you watch roller derby when you were a kid?
I did.
Do you remember Skinny Minnie Miller?
Yes.
So do I.
I loved roller derby as a kid.
I never really understood it, but oh my God, we were
it was fun to watch.
glued to it every Saturday.
Exactly, yeah.
Me and my brother were big fans.
So they have a code of conduct and policies that was put in place by the Board of Officials that directly protect and reinforce their strong stance for inclusion. A lot of policies in place making sure that there is no discrimination, there's no harassment, there's no bullying. It's a very inclusive organization, and as we said, a whole lot of fun to watch.
I didn't know the sport of roller derby has historically been a very progressive community, constantly adapted as needed as our society inevitably evolves.
I didn't know that either.
Here we have. Oh, Vanity's got a street interview. Let's see what's happening down on street level.
All right, guys, I got a posse of cutie patooties here along the fence. How are you doing, girls? Are you having a good time? All right, Tara is one of the mothers of some of these children, I believe. Can you just tell us why it's important for your children to experience Pride?
Because love is love, and I just want them to know that they can be whoever they want to be, however they want to express that. So that's why it's important for them to be here today.
Awesome. That's so awesome to hear. Have a good time, girls. Don't eat all that candy at once, all right? All right, back to you guys.
Sounds amazing. You know, we get wrapped up in the politics of this in terms of, but ultimately it comes down to a moment like that.
Exactly.
Where just teaching people that love is love.
Yeah.
You know?
We saw Sonic 102.9 going by a little bit earlier, just before we talked to Vanity, of course, one of the big radio stations in town, and they're out flying the flag today. And after them, I think we've fallen behind again.
Oh, this is the Edmonton Men's Health Collective?
Right. And they're out here today. Their vision is for Edmonton gay, bisexual, queer, and transgender men to have an equitable opportunity to experience positive health and well-being.
Here we also have the Canadian Armed Forces. Now, it's interesting to see the EPS and the Canadian Armed Forces both present in the parade.
It is.
Because I think historically that's something that a lot of LGBTQ people struggled with in terms of their official policies. And to see them embrace the diversity and the sort of the progress of this evolution is really important on a hugely symbolic basis.
And when we talk about the change in the way it's handled and the way things have gone, and those institutions face some of the biggest change, I think.
They do, absolutely, absolutely. There's a lot of, what do they call them, the pillars of our old society.
Right, yeah.
That really need to be challenged and are really rising to that challenge.
Yeah, they certainly are. ATB Financial, as we said, ATB also a longtime partner of Camp Firefly and Firefly in Schools, and as we talk about that, it supports sexual and gender minority youth. It's a summer camp for gender minority youth. They're also the title sponsor of the Calgary Pride Parade and Festival this coming September, and they support the Jasper Pride Festival in March.
In 2017, they're going to be celebrating Pride in branches across Alberta, lighting up ATB Place in Pride colors, and recreating the Rainbow Brick Road on the sidewalk in downtown Calgary. Here we have the Alberta Union of Provincial Employees, again, showing support from these institutional pillars of our community.
And AUP prides themselves in being a leader and in creating an inclusive workplace that's supportive of all their members. All meetings, union activities, and the Constitution begin with a special recitation that says they're committed that our functions will be protective of individuals' rights to contribute, and participants shall engage in behaviors that are respectful of others' race, gender, sexuality, ethnicity, and occupation. So they've actually got it written down, and they recite it at all their events. Yeah.
Here's the El Cortez Mexican Kitchen and Tequila Bar, and I got to say, I've eaten there. It's fantastic.
It is fantastic.
It's totally fantastic.
You can't beat Mexican.
It's so true.
And on a cold day like today,
we should order some.
It might be a place to head over to right after this. I think. Let's make a reservation. Can we do that?
We'll start our new punk band there.
And after them, we have Shell Canada, another absolute corporate giant that is now taking part in the Pride festivities.
This is interesting because I actually, within my lifetime, it used to be that if there was change in these organizations, these giant corporate organizations, it had to come from the ground up,
right,
to challenge the monster.
Yes.
Now, the corporation is actually sort of insisting on it from the top down. That's the big difference that's happened in sort of the last 4 decades of my life.
Yeah, interesting. And it is a huge difference, as you said. It's it's important, very, very important.
And I got to say, I want that poster with the stack of rainbow
That's pretty cool,
heart
isn't
helmets. That's totally awesome. Creative and timely and totally appropriate.
And following up Shell, we have Jobber. In 2016, the CEO made the decision to hire a head of people operations to make sure they're constantly reviewing their approach to diversity and inclusion in the workplace. So again, another corporation saying we're not just paying lip service to here, we're actually going to do something about it. We're going to put programs in place.
It's their mandate now. It's their mission statement now.
Which is pretty remarkable.
You know why? Because it makes good business sense.
Of course it does. I mean, you can't, if you're interested in that, you can't be, selecting which parts of the community you're going to...
Exactly. And who wants to say goodbye to 10% of
exactly.
the
It's
population
absurd.
base,
Yeah,
right?
no doubt about it.
A bit of a breeze coming up here. We're gonna see some balloons flying into the air. I just know it.
Got some bubbles flying around. It's good for bubbles.
It's totally awesome. You're right. I can see that.
Hang on to the balloons and let the bubbles fly. The breeze will definitely help. That is the Edmonton Presbytery United Church of Canada, the McDougall United Church of Canada.
Now, years ago, I played at a commitment ceremony long before gay marriage was allowed.
Right, yeah.
I think, in my 20s when I played piano at my first commitment ceremony, my first same-sex commitment ceremony at McDougall United Church.
The United Church has always sort of been at the front of this.
Yeah, absolutely. They've always been an open place where anyone, regardless of your religious affiliation, can feel welcome.
Yeah, it has been a mandate of theirs for a very, very, very long time. The number of United Churches actually joining. We've got St. Paul's United Church. It's not just McDougall here today, so we should point out that there's a number of them.
Well, and look at this. The queer Arabs, we exist. New members to Edmonton. The churches are one of the most, like the Pride Center, are one of those important entry points for people that come from other cultures. And they're not only trying to adapt to life in Canada, their new adopted homeland, but they also have to adapt to the fact that there's a completely different set of laws and expectations around queer rights here.
Yeah.
And how to find their way into that community in a safe way.
Yeah, and some of the places they're coming from, it would be an entirely new experience because it's just not done.
Exactly. So imagine coming to a place where suddenly what you are that you've been hiding is suddenly not something that you have to hide anymore. It sounds like it would be an instant celebration, but there's actually a huge adjustment. Coming out is a long process, and it takes a long time for you to wrap your head around the realities of it and the possibilities
Especially
of it.
if you've been living your life that way for so long.
Exactly.
It would be a massive shift in your way of thinking, no doubt about it. Planet Organic Market. Is that what we're looking at here?
I don't know. I see a bunch of balloon amoebas.
I think it's pretty cool outfits, though.
Yeah, we see how good it is.
The Planet Organic Market. They believe in supporting the neighborhoods and wish to see them thrive, and that means everybody in the neighborhood. And they also have strict all-inclusion policies, making sure that employees feel comfortable and safe. And they celebrate Pride Week internally at all of their markets as well.
Nice. I got to say, I'm kind of blown away at the crowd. I was expecting it to be a little light today because of the weather, but there's a lot of joy warming up the streets of Edmonton today.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, the rain held off. That was the big concern. I think rain would have been a major issue, but we don't have the rain, and things have turned out not too bad, actually.
And how many rainbow clowns can you fit in a tiny car? Let's see. Here. Just one,
Just
apparently.
the one. Didn't try nearly hard enough.
Not really a clown, but I couldn't resist the pun.
And that is Shaw.
Oh, Shaw. Okay, let's talk about Shaw because, wow, we're here. Shaw did the very first Pride broadcast.
The first ever in the
Canada,
country.
which is amazing.
It
Edmonton
really
is so much more progressive than people think it is. Now, of course, this will be the last Shaw broadcast, won't it?
It will be, yeah. I mean, not only was Shaw the first, this will be the last because the Shaw community stations are closing later this summer. But you know what? I don't think there's any way that this won't show up in some shape or form on some other media.
Fingers crossed.
I think it has
Fingers
to.
crossed. But I think a moment to just recognize the important work that Shaw has done in terms of really reaching out to the Edmonton community on so many levels and so many really sort of, grassroots kind of levels.
For such a long time, too, they've provided a very, very important service.
How many years has it been that they've been working in Edmonton and Calgary?
Oh, geez, I don't
decades.
know. It's decades and decades. Yeah, absolutely. As long as I can remember.
I remember when we did a drag show once at the Fringe, like 1,000 years ago.
Yeah.
And Shaw came and actually filmed it and put it on and ran it over and over and over. A drag show.
Yeah.
It was just fantastic.
And like you said, once they started, others have followed. We've seen it broadcast in Vancouver and other places. So Edmonton once again.
Old Strathcona Youth Society, I think. Where are we? Oh,
nope. This is the Young Nurses Take Action Foundation.
Sorry.
Skip ahead. We're on to
There we
61.
go.
Do we have the 61 floats have already gone through?
Yes. This goes fast once it starts, doesn't it?
It really does.
In the past year, Young Nurses Take Action Foundation has sought to advocate for our LGBTQ patients by holding an educational event called I'm Not Sick, I'm Transgender, improving the experience for sexual and gender diverse people in our healthcare system. Very important cause.
Did you see that guy's sign? Trauma Queen. There's very creative people
so stealing
here.
that.
It's just
Here we have
fantastic.
Original Joe's and State and Maine. They definitely have an inclusive workplace.
Yeah, a lot of these places do. Their corporate culture very strong, and their values are the acronym HEART. Honesty, empathy, always welcoming, remarkable consistency, and taking care of our communities, and they're showing that today.
Beautiful. I love these signs. You're a magical unicorn. Love is fabulous. Put some out there. Trauma Queen. I'm totally happy.
Isn't that great?
I want that sign. I want that. I'm not leaving without that sign.
Now, the Kosh Automotive Group. Yeah, they've been in town for a long, long time as well. They're another Edmonton institution, and they have non-discriminatory policies in place, making sure they protect their employees from any sort of harassment.
And then here we have the Edmonton Prime Timers. You know what those are?
No, I have no idea.
Okay, well, it's for the gay senior citizens, which I didn't realize I was one until they invited me and my husband to come to their parties.
Really?
Almost. It's not just senior citizens. Anyone, I think, 50 and up.
Oh, okay.
But it's like the day they invited us, we went, wait, we're not old enough to... Oh, yes, we are.
We're not allowed there. What are you saying?
But they provide amazing resources and support for the people, for older senior queer people that have started to feel a little more marginalized. Ultimately, like Randy Boissonneau mentioned earlier, gay people are sometimes forced back into the closet in their old age. When you're looking at entering an old folks' home, there aren't those support systems often,
Right, exactly, yeah.
And so you have to start hiding who you are again, right? So it's very important that they have a place to network and connect with each other.
Starbucks.
What do you say about Starbucks?
Everybody knows everything about Starbucks, right?
Love a good Americano, regardless of the day.
It's
Always.
an institution, right? I mean, Starbucks, and they're out here taking part in the Pride
Espresso
Parade.
yourself, that's nice. And I got to say, they've always been sort of at the forefront of putting it out there as a corporate policy that, yes, this is what we believe.
We're inclusive.
Yeah,
exactly.
absolutely.
Yeah. The Beaumont Blues and Roots Festival. I hope they have a blues band playing. You'd have to, right? How can you not?
We got a big float here, but I can't see who's behind the wall there. Who's behind that rainbow, anyway?
There it is.
There we go. Now, they have always been an all-inclusive, community-based, non-profit organization.
And not only on the float is the society, but they also have the Beaumont High School QSA. How come it's a QSA, not a GSA?
Gay Straight Alliance, Queer Straight Alliance.
Interchangeable?
Because queer means more than just gay.
Okay.
Right? So actually GSA, as much as it's being used lately, it sort of makes it, a lot of lesbians feel left out by the G.
So the Q is more inclusive then?
I find queer is an umbrella term that includes everything, but other people disagree with me. The terminology is still evolving.
It definitely is, and it's evolving rapidly.
Exactly. Oh, adoption options. Are they talking about adoption? Okay. Obviously, they're not talking about adopting dogs. That's what I thought was happening for a second here.
Two cute little pugs, and it's an obvious connection. No, adoption, they pride themselves on offering an inclusive environment that allows everyone to be involved. But as you said, they're not about adopting dogs. They're more than that. They're involved in the community and providing people, because that is definitely something else that we've seen emerge over the last few years in terms of adoption.
And same-sex adoption is it's one of those sort of dinosaur institutions that
still hanging on.
Queer people were kept out of for a long time.
Yeah.
Here we have the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, the K Division, in their beautiful red serge. I love these uniforms.
They look fabulous,
Ever
don't
since
they?
I was a kid, there's something so romantic and
It's a great
historical
look.
about that look.
And recognized around the world. I mean, it is just, it says Canada. You see it and you can't help but think it.
Exactly. And this is another one of those organizations that has had to look at the way they deal with the public and the way they deal with certain communities. And they've done a lot of work to understand the LGBTQ community to make sure that, like, for instance, when police used to get called to gay men fighting, they wouldn't treat it like a domestic disturbance.
Oh, really?
Right, because they hadn't. There was a time when that wasn't considered a domestic situation, right? So there was a certain amount of learning that had to happen that way. The great. Sorry, I thought that sign said the Great Canadian Beaver Weekend for a second.
No,
I thought it was so Canadian.
Not Beavers, Bears.
It's the Bears.
This is the Fellowship of Alberta Bears.
And apparently, I'm a bear now. There you go.
Now, bears. Can we get into what?
Well, bears are the big hairy guys.
The big hairy guys,
I mean,
right?
it's interesting because, we have a very youth-obsessed society, and I'm not talking about the gay scene particularly. No. I'm talking about our world, our media world, focuses on the youth, the twinks, the hairless young people that everyone puts in all the advertising.
People. Let's go ahead and say
And guess what? Beauty comes in all sorts of shapes and sizes.
Of course it does.
And the older I get, the more I embrace that. Darn it.
You're facing it very gracefully, and there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, that's the Great Canadian Bear Week is coming. They have a whole week. Good for them.
Now, they have donated nearly $30,000 to local charities since their creation.
Wow.
So it's not just about getting together and celebrating your body and your existence as a... It's also about giving back to the community in the way of charities and stuff like that.
All right, Vanity has a guest standing by. Vanity, take it away.
All right, you guys, I'm here with Sarah. Now, Sarah, it's your very first Pride, correct?
Yes.
And it is also your birthday, I understand.
Yeah.
That's pretty exciting. So I'd have to say this is probably the best birthday celebration ever. Are you having a good time?
Yes.
And who's here with you? This is your mom, first Pride as well? Oh, you brought your whole posse. Well, I hope you get some cake later, all right? Enjoy the rest of the parade. Back to you guys.
That was a brilliant interview with one answer for every single question.
Isn't that the worst? You could say 2 words and drag this out a little bit. The Raging Grannies.
Oh.
Everybody knows the Raging Grannies.
I think I'm going to become a Raging Granny any second now. My coffee is ice cold, just so you know. It's still that chilly outside.
We should have somebody here bringing you a warm coffee. That's what should happen.
Where's my waitress? Oh, we use the word server now, don't we?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
All right, now I'm getting a little confused.
What's this group called? You were telling me about these guys
Swim
earlier.
Proud. This is the Making Waves swim team.
Making
so this
Waves,
is a Making Waves Aquatic Club. The goal of Making Waves has always been to foster participation in aquatic sports for all members of the community, regardless of orientation.
Excellent. And you got to feel for them out there in the Speedos in 11-degree weather.
Totally. Totally. I have a feeling that, water wings would be nice in weather like this, actually.
Yeah, it's...
Now, in addition to the Pride Festival and in addition to sort of the local swim meets, they also attend the International Gay and Lesbian Aquatic Champions that follow the summer that followed that summer. And I believe, oh, look at that. They're choreographed.
Look at that.
This is like synchronized swimming on pavement, isn't it?
That is very impressive.
I'm loving it. And I believe they've also gone to the gay games before, but don't quote me on that.
Okay. And another local, giant in the business community, Stantec. I mean, Stantec, another one of these great Edmonton success stories, and they're out here today taking part in the Pride Parade. They're sort of an industry leader, and they're based right here in Edmonton. And another group that has decided to put in official policies, making sure that inclusivity and diversity are not, discriminated against, they're in fact celebrated in the workplace.
Once again, showing that, in fact, diversity and inclusion is actually good business sense.
Very good business sense. They have an anti-harassment policy in practice, all kinds of things. They're making sure that they've got everybody covered. And out here today celebrating Pride.
Look at the rainbow dogsies. Cuties.
We have
My dog would be terrified from all this noise.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Thunder freaks him out, so the disco would be like way too much for him.
You just got to keep running that play till they get it right. Just keep putting them back, bringing them back. Eventually they get used to it. Home Depot. Everybody knows Home Depot.
I have a lot of friends that used to work at Home Depot. Still one that does.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
And they've got a pretty cool float, a toolbox. And, I think that's where the bubbles are coming from. I think Home Depot is responsible
I think there's been
for
a few
the
bubble sources.
And our strength is in our diversity. So
that's
once
a
again,
phrase that just pays. Like, it just makes so much sense.
Exactly.
Here we have the Egg Pod, which is the Edmonton Pups and Handlers. I don't know what to say about this, except that you got your pups and you got your handlers.
Okay. I think that pretty much sums it up.
Again, it's all about pulling together communities within communities, right?
Right.
Because whenever someone says, the queer community or the LGBTQ community, there's partitions within that are very specific. And
like any community.
Like any community. And the more chances we have for people to connect because of their like interests, their similar interests, or their similar values,
right,
the more likely it is those communities will be healthy and contribute in a positive way to our society.
And I think that's part of it is we see, the overreaching gay community, move into the society the way they have over the past, decade or so. Now all these other communities, we've got to start considering them as well. And that's why we get into a million different letters and everything. And it's evolving, as you said, and it's evolving in the right direction. And we have YMCA of Northern Alberta.
Okay, well, the Village people made them famous.
That's right.
They were already famous.
That's what I was going to say.
So I have to tell you a story. My husband and I went to, there was the Village people were actually closing the baseball game down at Telus Field. So,
like recently?
Yeah, no, this is a few years ago.
Oh, okay,
but Kevin and I were like, well, we're not really baseball fans, but I'd love to see the Village people before I die. So we went, we watched a few songs, and it was quite funny because guys my dad's age knew the moves to the YMCA.
Everybody knows it, right?
It was amazing. It's amazing. It's like, see, disco cures all.
There you go. We can all get behind disco.
We can all get behind disco. Of course, the YMCA, I'm making light of a situation, but ultimately the YMCA brings so much powerful resources to every city.
And for so long.
For so long. And of course, if you're taking pictures of, of course, the hashtag, if you're going to post anything about the Pride Parade, is hashtag YEG Pride on Shaw TV. And of course, you can tag Shaw TV at Shaw TV Edmonton.
Yeah, give us a mention there as well. Blush Lane Organic Market. Just saw their float briefly there. Cultivating healthy life, love, integrity, fresh ecology. All blends perfectly with the Edmonton Pride Festival Society and the parade today.
Oh, and of course, here's the float I always get teased about.
Yeah, you were looking forward to this one.
I'm always looking forward to it. I was wondering how brief the briefs would be today because of the cold, but it looks like the boys have totally risen to the occasion.
I had no idea these guys. Briefing room is where I buy all my underpants.
Do you really?
Absolutely.
That's so gay.
I'm right there. They're the only place that sells Tommy John, so you got to go there.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Of course, the briefing room has been a highlight, of course, in many parades in the past. They're just a small business, but they have a big part in the community here.
Yeah, they're right down here on Whyte Avenue.
Yeah, very prominent on Whyte Avenue. Oh, and the boy with the green hair was Vanity Fair's boyfriend. Did you know that?
I had no idea.
Yeah, I just found that out.
Is that right?
Yeah, just before the parade started here.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, good on you, fellas, heading out there in your underpants. Yeah. Good Lord, it's 11 degrees. Good for them.
These guys got guts, man. Here we have Paysetter Homes, which considers itself a leader in the home building industry. As such, they always strive to always progress in their methods and manners of thinking, opening their eyes and arms to the unique groups of people all around them. Oh, is that my dream home? See, I would put that in my backyard.
Yeah, exactly.
I would totally turn that into my little artist studio.
Oh, that would be awesome.
And I've got a yard big enough for that.
Yeah, there you go. Do it. I'm sure they could build you one. Norquest College. Norquest, downtown campus, and once again another place with, it's written into their language in terms of policies and that sort of thing. And their vision statement indicates that they value an inclusive and diverse learning community. And those seem to be the buzzwords for a lot of these entrants today. Absolutely. Inclusivity and diversity.
I think one of those places where these kind of policies really make a difference is in the corporations, but also in our learning institutions.
Absolutely.
And
yeah.
once they got behind that, it really started to affect the way people entered our communities. And
earlier we had the Beaumont Blues Festival. We have another music festival taking part in the parade today, I hope. Oh, you know what happened here? We got to go back to Dow.
Here we go. Dow Chemical. Now that's a huge company.
Massive.
Now, the GLAD network is very active within Dow. They have chapters and Dow sites around the world. Now, this initiative is being driven right from the highest levels of management in the company. There are openly LGBT employees that exist at the global leadership level within Dow. That's important. that you actually don't just pay lip service to hiring LGBTQ people, but you actually promote them within your ranks and value them that way.
And like you said, when it comes from the top of an organization like that, it makes a lot of difference when you don't have people pushing up, right?
Well, and it's all about visibility, right? When people see that there's a queer person in a position of power or leadership, that affects everything from the way down.
Exactly. Yeah.
Here we have the Astral Harvest Music and Arts Festival.
And
oh, that's a big float. Holy, look at that.
That's going well done. Good for them. This is the 10th season of the music festival. And they've been, it started as a small community-based event, just a few hundred people. Now they've got over 2,000 people involved in the Astral event. So, and they've been involved for a long time. PLUR, a commonly used acronym that represents the values of people in the community: peace, love, unity, and respect.
Nice. Here we have YEG Fitness. My mom phoned me up the other day to go, what does YEG stand for?
Oh, really?
She doesn't fly, right? She's never flown in like 30 years, so she doesn't understand that people are starting to use that as a hashtag.
Yeah, the airport codes. Yeah. And that became a huge thing.
Totally. So YEG Fitness, they don't have any specific policies in place because they don't feel that they are necessary, because they just embrace the ideology so completely and thoroughly.
All right, let's check in once again with Vanity, who's out on the parade route chatting to people. Vanity, take it away.
All right. Hi, guys. I just snatched Samantha and Megan out of the parade because they had these fabulous matching outfits on. What inspired your look for today, girl?
We've been in the parade for 5-6 years in a row, and we've been matching ever since.
Are you a couple?
No.
Just friends? Well, we appreciate the effort. You guys look fantastic. I'll let you catch up to your posse there, all right? Thanks, guys. Back to you.
Have you ever seen that much crochet at once?
It's pretty impressive, isn't it?
It's a lot of nodding.
Good for them. Yes.
Oh, youth empowerment and support services. Now, this is absolutely an inclusive employer. They not only stay current with the issues in the LGBTQS community, but also participate in multiple committees in order to effect systematic changes that contribute to these issues.
And they say they don't only try to promote an inclusive environment, but they celebrate it. It's important to them.
Here's our third bank of the day. We've had BMO, we've had TD, and now here we have Scotiabank.
We also had ATB.
ATB, fourth banks. Yeah. So there you go.
Scotiabank, an inclusive company, they've participated in Pride events all across the country as well. And as they point out, our culture and policy has evolved throughout the 185 years.
How is that possible?
Isn't that crazy? 185 years.
Canada's not even that old.
I know.
So that predates Canada.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Now, we were talking about these guys earlier, the You Can Play project. Yeah. They've got a lot of media attention over the last year or two. They're heavily involved in making sure that, sport becomes a safe place for the LGBTQ community. You can see some members of the Edmonton Eskimos cheer team there.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean,
this is so important because this is one of the sports, especially male sports, was one of the last bastions of homophobia, where it was it was accepted, it was considered part of the code of how it worked.
Yep.
And to see those sort of institutions kind of evolving into that is kind of I feel lucky to be alive at this point.
Yeah, and I played minor hockey as a kid, and I coach minor hockey now, and the difference and how far it's come, I mean, it's just not tolerated anymore. It's really amazing to see it. It's great.
Here we have, this is such an important organization, a group of organizations. We have Camp Firefly, we also have the Institute of Studies of Sexual Minorities, and we have the University of Alberta. And there's Ruby Swanson, my friend Ruby Swanson. Her son was one of the ones that started the first gay-straight alliance here in Edmonton.
Okay.
And she's written a book about it, actually, that she just gave me a copy of. I gave her some advice on it. Anyway, Camp Firefly, I got to do an interview. And, well, I'm going to talk about that later because Vanity's got an interview.
Yes, let's talk to Vanity now.
Hi, guys. I'm here with Corey Wyness representing Camp Firefly. There's been a few changes and a lot of developments in the last little while. Maybe you can tell us what's new with the camp and what's exciting.
Camp is growing and growing and growing. I mean, there's over 80 people from the U of A supporting us this year. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger every year, and it's awesome. So queer kids have a safe space to go to. So,
what year is the camp on now?
I think we're on year 10, I think.
No, 10 was last year, I think. That was the anniversary. 11 or 12, I think. All right, between our two minds, we get the job done, right? I'll let you catch up. Thanks, guys. Back to you.
Never argue with Vanity. She knows everything.
She seemed to have it down, yeah. Setting the poor guy up.
She's like a lawyer. Don't ask questions that you don't already know the answers to. Camp Firefly does some very important work for the youth esteem. Here we have the Oil City Roller Derby.
More roller derby.
Oh, roller derby. Awesome. Now, I don't know. Whenever I put rollerblades on, I wipe out.
Oh, really?
Useless. Oh, yeah. I'm terrified of them.
Like I said, keep running that play till you get it right. It will come.
Drag queens on wheels. I'm just not sure it goes together. Drag queens on heels, I can do fine.
There you go, yeah.
Now, maybe heels on wheels is what I need.
That's the key. That would be, now you'd be starting
dangerous.
a whole new genre.
Oh, we're about to get a stunt.
Oh, look at this.
Look at that.
Very impressive.
That was dangerous and
more.
spellbinding. Did you see how he covered his eyes?
Taking some risks.
I would be afraid.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, here we have Northlands.
Yes.
Wow, look at this float.
Very nice, yes.
Of course, the home of K-Days.
And it's, we're about a month away from K-Days, I would guess now, hey?
That's right. The next big parade of the Edmonton summer
yes,
season.
July 21st, it says there on the float. And, I mean, everybody knows what K-Days is. The Polar Express. That is the ride.
Is it?
Yeah, that's the one where you go backwards and the guy goes, do you want to go faster?
Oh my God,
You know,
I had to
that
stop
one.
doing that. At a certain point, apparently your inner ear dries up and spinny around-y rides
Is not a good
start
thing.
Yeah, I'm like Phil in Modern Family. I just can't do it anymore.
Northland's Next Gen, created back in 2006. It's an initiative of the City of Edmonton. It's young community leaders and volunteers working together to create a city that attracts and gives voice to the next generation by connecting people, places, communities, and ideas. They've done a tremendous amount of work. 17 people are involved. Councillor Andrew Knack is the city council representative on there.
Excellent. That's a fun float too.
Yeah, they've done a nice job.
Oh, here we have the Edmonton Color Guard, the CGC YEG Color Guard Collective Edmonton. Oh, look at this is so beautiful.
It really is.
When they all unfurl at the same time. Color Guard Collective Edmonton is a non-profit performing arts organization for performers 8 and up, so very inclusive in all ways. Their Color Guard is known as the sport of the arts and evolved from military activity. A military color guard often traveled with a band who would play a patriotic song, and the person responsible for carrying the flag presented it with guarded precision. And here we have some serious precision. Look at that.
Yeah, I mean, it really is awesome.
Wow. I'm totally hypnotized.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
mesmerizing. That's so beautiful.
It really is nice to watch, yeah. Very impressive.
It's primarily a winter activity known as Winter Guard, running 3 programs, aged 8 to 12, 13 to 21, and for vintage performers, that would be us, I guess, aged 21 and up. Vintage, that's nice.
It's a better way of saying it, isn't it? A little less painful that way. And we could be done. We could have one more float here, Darren. And
look at this.
That's the parade. Yeah, Virgin Radio bringing up the rear. And
you can hear their tunes pumping around.
Exactly, yeah, they're doing all right.
Soundtrack of the parade.
Virgin, they're part of that big global company, and they've continued with their support of the LGBTQ community. 3 of the 6 on-air announcers at Virgin are openly gay.
I did not know that.
Yeah, and they talk about their relationships, they talk about their stories, their experiences. They do it all on air and online.
You know who was the first one to do that in this town?
Let me think.
It was me on Help TV.
Well, there you go.
Actually, on Videotron, on Shaw, I outed myself within 5 minutes of my first moment on live television.
On purpose?
On purpose.
Yeah. Well,
I wanted it out there.
Yeah.
I thought if they're going to get rid of me, I want them to get rid of me now.
And they didn't.
And they didn't. Well, they did eventually, but... Now, here's something I love. This is my favorite moment in a parade, when you get the last float, and everyone that's watched the parade
just sort of
becomes
converges
the parade,
behind them.
converges behind it. So
yeah.
I'm sure we're going to get a couple of long shots of the crowd here. They're going to be quite stunning. And let's just let this visual take over here, because it's so beautiful. Pretty spectacular. Well, all of our worries about the weather, unbased.
No, absolutely. The rain held
a thing.
off, which was wonderful. All right, and Vanity joining us once again from the parade route with her thoughts on what we've seen here this afternoon. Vanity?
All right, guys, the parade's wrapping up here. It's been another very exciting year. A little chilly, but all in all, it's been a great day. Having a good time, guys? All right, thank you. Back to you guys. Thanks for a great experience.
I did the Gay Pride Parade in Toronto years ago in 1991, and this moment where the entire parade scoops behind the last float is stunning when there's hundreds of thousands of people.
Exactly.
But I also want to say, I'm sure Vanity Fair has had her picture taken more times in the last 4 years of parades than any drag queen in Alberta.
I bet you're right,
Western Canada.
And we should point out, she looks fantastic.
She looks fantastic.
Incredible.
And everyone should know that she had to get up at 5 in the morning to make that happen.
A lot of work goes into that.
She keeps saying, girl, when are you going to do drag? I'm like, no, it's not going to happen.
You're past that.
I can't get up that early and look beautiful.
But you say you are bringing it back at least one more time.
Oh, well, you know, you can't stay out of drag forever when you're known to be a drag queen. So it is the 30th anniversary for Guys Disguised this year. I will be doing drag this summer at the Fringe. So
excellent. All right.
Come and see it. It might not last for long.
And there's the shot you were talking about, Darren.
Oh, my goodness. Look at that.
The huge crowd just falling in behind the
We're
floats.
sitting here around the corner, and we've only been able to see this one little piece of street. But now we can see what's been around the corner watching the whole time. It's just fantastic.
Good on you, Edmonton. I mean, the weather wasn't perfect, but you came out and made it happen. It's great to see.
Wow. Edmonton's a great town.
It sure is.
I love this city. Amazing. Amazing.
And as we said, I mean, this is sort of the focus of Pride Week in Edmonton, but there's so much going on.
Exactly. We were talking about all those different communities within the community.
Yeah.
Every one of them is having an event this week.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? So whatever your tastes are, whatever your people that you want to hang out with, there's bound to be something. And of course, if you're going to be telling stories about the Pride Parade during this week or about the Pride events, it's the hashtag YEG Pride on Shaw TV.
And give us a mention at Shaw TV EDM. And everybody's heading down to, I guess it all wraps up at End of Steel Park.
That's right.
But there will be things taking place there throughout the day.
Probably a drag show, at least one.
I think so, right.
Some things to buy, some things to eat.
Yeah, exactly. And,
some music happening.
And beer gardens.
And beer gardens. All right, look at that. Look at that. It's an amazing crowd. I'm really impressed. I'm really impressed.
I am too. I was really worried the weather would sort of, shut things down or at least slow things down, but not a bit.
Look at them coming around the corner.
Awesome.
Okay, so this is probably the last Shaw broadcast. We know it's the last Shaw broadcast of the parade. And I got to say, this is a brilliant way to end this amazing thing that Shaw has created and been a part of in Edmonton, which is sharing the parade not just with the people that can actually make it physically to the parade, but to broadcast these pictures, across our country and across our province. It's just an amazing thing. Thanks to Shaw for that.
Yeah, and like you said, they were the first to do it. Edmonton was the first to do it, sort of setting the way, and others have followed. So, Shaw, Edmonton, just doing a wonderful job. And like you said, this is the last one on Shaw, but what a way to wrap it up with
now look, suddenly
crowd
I don't know if people can tell, but suddenly we're surrounded by people as the parade breaks open.
Exactly, which is great to see. All right, so are we done? Is that it?
We're done. This has been awesome.
I thought we were on, yeah.
I could do this for another hour.
Yeah, so could
You're
I.
fun to do TV with.
Well, you're fun to do TV with, too. We could just sit here and pretend we're doing TV.
We could just say that there's a parade still happening that's all around us now. Now we can sort of narrate everything one more time. All right, so I'm Darren Hagen, and this is Shay Gannon, and we have been pleased and thrilled to be here as part of this event today.
Yeah, and thank you so much for joining us, and that's it.
I'm sad it's over. However, it's not over because it's going to get played all week on Shaw TV.
Exactly.
Over and over again. Trust me, the reruns are awesome. I'm expecting my residual check any moment now.
So you're getting paid for this?
Oh, yeah, no.
Hey, it is TV after all.
All right, so
Thanks
happy Pride, everybody. Thanks for watching. And make sure you check your Pride Guide and go check out some of the events that are happening around Edmonton this week.
There's so much happening. It'll be a ton of fun, and have a wonderful time, everybody. And thanks for joining us today.
It's been a pleasure.